Hello, everyone. This is Zami Eccles-Irwin from FilmFestivalCircuit.com and the Assistant Director of the Oregon Short Film Festival. We are gearing up for our summer 2023 session, which is going to screen on July 16th at the beautiful historic Clinton Street Theater. And today I'm talking with one of our participating filmmakers. Mark Ryan Walberg is the writer and director of Slippers. Mark, thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Oh, of course. Thank you for having me here.
So tell us, what inspired Slippers?
So many things. Um, a lot of what happened in Slippers sort of happened to me and my family,
Okay.
minus the slipper part. That was a fictitious element that I felt like I needed.
Okay.
Yeah, like in 2016, I had a family member who had bipolar disorder kind of go off their medication for the longest period of time. And it was very intense.
Hmm.
And kind of the family imploded from it. And different family members wanted to handle things in different ways. And I was the only one not living at my house with my family at the time, which is
Okay.
weird. Like everyone moved back and then I moved out. Just various college work situations. And
Right.
so I think they got a lot more of the brunt of it. And then I was, for the first time, not there. And so for me, it was much more like, oh, well, I can go out and help, kind of go in and try to help the family member who's going through this when they were kind of like, no, you
I
don't need to
see.
do this. Anyways, yeah, so it was a lot of that stuff. I remember my mom saying like, oh, I hope this is giving you like enough like great material to write or to work with. And I never wanted to write anything. I never thought I'd want to write anything personal or
Hmm.
inspired by that kind of stuff. I felt like I was like, no, this is the reason I want to write is to not think about these things, is to like
Right.
live in this kind of I don't know, imagination. But then I feel like everything I was writing, the characters or themes kind of were all tying to stuff I was going through. And then I just realized that, yeah, I don't know, I should maybe focus on this. And it gave me a reason to make a short, I guess,
Okay.
if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So you think you're saying that maybe your typical focus on creative output is more an imaginative thing, not personal, but you realize that certain themes or certain elements were tying back to your own experiences.
Yeah. I guess like
Okay.
I always knew a little bit that was happening in
Okay.
characters, but this time there was a lot of things about it would go back to like characters who were dealing with um, trying to grapple with some kind of sense of normalcy that was fading, and that might be tied to family. A lot of characters who were kind of scared about not generational trauma exactly, but like I guess the what if my parent is sick in some certain way, does that mean I have this?
I see. Okay.
You know,
Totally.
do I have this mental illness or do I have this other issue? And that kind of kept resurfacing as
Okay.
well.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
I'm curious. What is it like to write from sort of a personal standpoint? Do you find is there a balance that needs to be taken between fact or fiction? Is it cathartic? What's that like?
I don't know. I guess this is the first time I've written something this personal, but it was still, I don't know if it was cathartic. I'm not sure. I haven't, it doesn't feel any different. I don't feel any
Okay.
better, I guess. Um, and I think there was just an immediate separation. Like when I had the first kind of images in my head of the character Joe in the desert, it was immediately this character, a friend
Okay.
of mine who's an actor, who I coincidentally just kind of met around that time, and that kind of just face fit in there, and it was just always a woman, and I don't know if that created a separation
Mm,
consciously that I needed, um, and I just never. It was personal, and there's elements of things that happened to me, but it was never. I don't. It's strange, yeah. It was never
totally.
me in the seat of like as the character.
Totally. Well, that's interesting. Let's
Really.
talk a little bit about your lead character and that actress.
Oh yeah.
really incredible performance. What was it like eliciting that kind of, one, she's largely um, uh, alone in these scenes, which is,
Mhm.
opening up a different kind of type of acting. What was it like working with her?
Oh, it was amazing. I feel like I didn't deserve her acting. It was the first kind of short that I did in a while, and also one at this level, so it was a whole different experience. But um, yeah, luckily she was a friend,
Okay.
so I did have a rapport. We were able and early on, she really responded to the script when I sent it to her. She was the only choice, like person I had in mind, and she immediately said yes, which was amazing. And we were able to have a couple read throughs together before and change things to kind of maybe a little more her voice. We had a couple rehearsals
Okay, cool.
as well. So yeah, those parts kind of got weird. I feel like it wasn't hard to direct her because she's so good, and she would just kind of go off, especially for the really heavy emotional scenes. She would just go off in a room by herself, and and then all of a sudden I would find her and I'd be like, "Are you okay?" Like I thought something had happened to her. And she's like, "No, I'm just
Wow.
or I'm just
Okay, dang.
not feeling
Yeah.
good." Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to ruin this. I thought something horrible happened. So it was, yeah, it was really a crazy experience. So she, besides me just being like, let's do one more just in case, or tiny tweaks, she was kind of
Right.
always perfect. And that process, I think that was maybe that part was cathartic. Seeing how she went through this. She had her own connections to this kind of story as well. So she was bringing a
Okay.
lot of her own emotions to it. And I think there was some kind of bonding happening on a
Totally.
level, and getting through something in this by acting it out in this way. So I think actually, in hindsight, that was special and cathartic.
Totally. Well, her performance is really incredible, and I think she captures, the multiple emotions that you go through in a circumstance like this really well.
Yeah,
Um, I
yeah,
particularly was kind of paying attention to the ending where the film cuts off. It kind of it felt more literary than your typical short film, which will follow the narrative line until some kind of a resolution. What you have here is kind of an open ending, and one that cuts off to, I think, reorient focus not on the conflict, but just back on that character and back on her psychology.
yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on that? I just sort of really
Oh yeah.
liked where it sort of shut down.
Thank you. Yeah, that was definitely finding the ending was the hardest
Mm,
part. I didn't tell anyone this, but I wasn't like not even 100% sure if this ending, if like what if it was gonna work or.
okay.
And once I saw her act it, and take it to a whole other kind of place, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this was.
Made sense.
I don't know if it was the right move, but she made it the right move.
Totally.
And I think it was always once I kind of landed on how I wanted the movie to end, which it's hard. It was I didn't. It was hard because you don't want her to just pick a side. That doesn't seem right. It's like more complex than that.
Right.
I think there's so much she's going through internally. Of again, like if I have the bipolar gene in me that's gonna come out in 5 years during a stressful time.
Right.
If this happens to me, who's gonna be there to help me if I'm in the situation? I think she's kind of going through that. It also puts her more empathetically kind of in her dad's shoes or slippers.
Right.
Um, and I think, yeah, I think she's struggling. I think she probably knows the healthy thing to do is to not help the dad because this is a continuing cycle that's unhealthy. But
Right.
how can you not? So that's kind of what we landed on with the ending. And it took me a while to get there because, yeah, you do want to wrap things up and make a point. And the point was kind of like, well, there's no point, or it's not that there's no point, but that it's very difficult and there's no answer.
Right. No
Kind
resolution
of,
solidly.
yeah, it's like she puts on the slippers, which I guess you can think is a lot of different things, but it's like if it is like this familiar or like this kind of comforting sense and connecting her to her dad and understanding him a little bit more. it's kind of, she has that moment, but then it's, yeah, what's next? Okay, so I'm gonna go maybe go help my dad, and then the cycle continues, and
Right.
just what is a healthy boundary, and um, it's still gonna be pretty hard down the
Totally.
road. So
Well, it's a great ending because I think everyone can take using their own experiences can reach a conclusion that is meaningful to them or works for them without
yeah,
you painting something unrealistic, like just the storybook happy ending or something like that. Um,
yeah, yeah.
No, it sounds like you and the star had some good collaboration on this, just with your writing and her kind of bringing that acting to it. I'm curious, what did you learn from this process, either in terms of writing, directing, any new insights on the craft of filmmaking?
So many things. I spent so long writing this script off and on since like 2017,
Okay,
18, something like that. Yeah, 2018 until I guess 2022 when we shot it last summer. Um, so there's so many different versions.
mm,
Versions where Joe was a different character, in a different scenario, kind of, but still the same world. Um, one where there was a giant karaoke scene. It made no sense, but and the dad was in it a lot, and so it just kept changing, and it was really hard to write something I knew we were going to make in terms of production. Um, and short films have a different feeling to them. So, and I was
right.
used to writing TV and trying to write features. So writing something so stripped back, I guess,
Mm,
it was really weird and hard. Um, and the final version we even shot, the script had like 6 voicemails from the dad. I think now there's only one in the beginning.
right.
It was actually technically the very last voicemail. And so yeah, this kind of this don't be precious kind of thing, I guess I
Mm,
learned of the writing. Sure, it needs to be good, but it's gonna feel so much. You do have to kind of trust, I guess, yourself as a director and everybody else, and this is gonna become its own thing. And yeah, there's that. I mean, just learning how to produce a short film, I think that was a big thing.
oh, totally.
Had no idea how to do that. And yeah, every along the way, the whole entire thing, festivals, post, actually working with a colorist and with a sound designer, um, with a composer, everything was just, those parts were also brand new to me. Um,
Well, that's excellent that you're getting a jump into all these viewpoints, all these sites along
yeah,
the filmmaking path.
the crash course.
And it's definitely valuable to have that mantra that, what you write on the screenplay will take a new shape once it's finally out there. And I like your sort of idea about that with the short film, a little bit stripped back. It's got the elegance of design, a little bit of a tasteful simplicity, which I think your film
Yeah,
definitely has. It's got, like you said, it's not 6 voicemails, it's one, and it reads a little bit stronger, and all these little
yeah.
elements, because they're, you know, you're not overloaded. They're sparse but meaningful, and I feel like you did an exceptionally good job at that.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
I'm curious, what's next for you? Do you have more shorts coming? You said maybe some features as well that you're trying to work on.
Um, technically, I can't work on anything because I'm in the
Right.
VGA.
Yeah.
Um, I would love to make another short film. I
Okay.
mean, I finished this short. Part of it was also like a test, kind of, not a test, but like I didn't know if I wanted to direct, because it's been such a long time. That's all I ever wanted to do. But then I kind of went into this writing path and was writing on TV, and
Okay.
I realized, oh, this writing thing seems a much more my style, to like either be in a room by myself or just be in a room, air conditioned room with
Right.
people and bounce around ideas, like all the personalities and all the departments and all the things you got to do on set. Um, and I went to set as a writer multiple times,
Right.
and I liked it. But it was never, I never felt super connected, and I think it was because I was just a visiting person.
Right.
So I decided that, yeah, I needed to still make a short to just know, and I had so much fun that I think on the day I came back, I told my fiance, I was like, I want to go like immediately. I want to just do it again. Like,
Nice.
prep was really hard, and then
Right.
the shooting was so fun that so I really do want to make another short film, and I have a couple written, a lot more in like horror-ish
Okay,
um,
cool.
vein, um, and same thing with a feature writing or not writing um, features. Everything I also every idea just seems to be set in the desert.
Oh,
That
really?
continues. So I kind of grew up out there a little bit, and
Okay.
all my pilots I've written, features, short. Well, actually, no, the other shorts are not in the desert, but everything else just in the desert.
It's a great
So
landscape.
yeah, I'm creating a Mojave Desert cinematic universe.
Awesome.
No one will
And
want.
so you got the directing bug. You're hoping to be director on these future projects.
That
Okay.
would be great. I don't know. I have the feature film stuff is like I have no. It would be amazing if I could direct them, but I have no like. I'm just writing them because they seem really fun,
Totally.
and I love to get these ideas. It's very liberating to just get them out and see them, and then move on to something else. And there are samples for people to read. It would be amazing to direct it, and I think that's the weird thing. It's like kind of with the short, I have to split my mind. Like, oh, this is a feature that's bigger that I'm just writing to get better as a writer. That's really fun as writing to
Totally.
show people, and then there's going to be something that you write that's like, oh, this is very low budget that I can try to direct.
Totally.
But then that becomes such a different thing because once you start getting in that headspace, you're trying to write something, I don't know, very indie or real or like that you can accomplish, and
Right.
you can't free your mind up as there's a lot more restrictions.
Totally. Do you find that with any of those constraints, you somehow can blossom an idea that's, sometimes I hear that people say, "Oh, the constraints are limiting, but sometimes it allows me to stretch my freedom in an interesting way that they like."
Yeah, I used to think that, but not really anymore. Not
Really.
not currently. I'm sure once we would, if I was to ever make these movies or these shorts, I do love when it's like, well, we lost this location, we have this, and I'm like, okay, now I
Right.
know I have to make this work.
Right.
Um, so that's really exciting.
Okay.
In the
Totally.
writing process, it's still it's like I have restraints, but there's still like so many possibilities of restraints. I guess if that makes sense. That
I see. Yeah.
I don't know I haven't figured a good way of explaining it.
Well,
But
it seems like you have good momentum. You have some projects going, so a lot of big ideas and a kind of a new appreciation for the onset world. Is there
yeah.
anything else you'd like to add about Slippers?
Um, what should I add? Um, no. What would I don't know. I don't know what I would add.
Well, I think people are really going to love it. I mean, this
Thank
is
you
gonna
so much.
it's an impactful film, and I think it will be familiar to people in the audience, cathartic, and I mean, it's really just such a well-made film.
No,
People
thank
are
you so
really
much.
going to love it at the Oregon Short Film Festival on July 16th. So thank you, and it was very nice talking to you, Mark.
It was nice talking to you too. Thank you so
Looking forward
much.
to seeing much more from you.
Okay. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.